Have you ever heard of the King, the spirit who lures children into death with promises of comfort? In Germanic and Scandinavian folklore, the King lives in forests, foggy roads, and liminal spaces between life and death. The King is often depicted as a tall, skeletal, crowned figure, a shadowy, whispering presence, cloaked and regal. Sometimes with a beard, sometimes he's skeletal, sometimes he's beautiful. He whispers promises of warmth, safety, and games, all while slowly drawing his victims toward death. He's invisible to adults, capable of voice manipulation and illusion, and he can induce fear, illness, and sudden death. He cannot act openly, though. His power depends on fear and belief. Once exposed, his influence weakens. Originally, he was depicted in Erlkönig. It was a poem by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. It was later adapted into a musical by Franz Schubert. The King is also depicted in a short film by Ben Zelkowicz. He's portrayed in The King of Elfland's Daughter by Lord Dunsany, The Earl King by Angela Carter, and then there's Earl King Heathcliff from the video game called Limbus Company. The Earl King doesn't chase you, he just convinces you to follow. If you want to learn about more mythical forest entities, follow for more, and comment what mythical creatures or beings you want me to share next. Hades isn't evil, he isn't Satan, he isn't chaotic, he's bureaucratic. From Greek mythology, Hades rules the underworld, Hades, where all souls go when they die. He's usually depicted as a regal, mature, bearded man, solemn and often wearing a helm of invisibility, and even holding a bident. He's not flashy or theatrical, just final. After the Titanomachy, Hades and his two brothers Poseidon and Zeus divided dominion over the earth, as well as the cosmos. Hades and his brothers drew lots to see who gets dominion over what. Zeus got the sky, Poseidon got the sea, and Hades got the underworld. As the ruler of the underworld, Hades enforces the laws of death. He keeps the souls in the underworld so the living world won't collapse into chaos. He doesn't hunt souls, he receives them. His marriage to Persephone, the goddess of spring and queen of the underworld, is also misunderstood. Their marriage is the reason why 4 seasons exist. According to Greek mythology, Hades wanted Persephone to be his wife, but first he needed his brother Zeus's blessing. Zeus didn't explicitly give his blessing, so he allowed Hades to do as he pleased. So Hades abducted Persephone to the underworld, and Zeus allowed it to happen because if he explicitly gave his blessing, then Demeter, the goddess of agriculture, would not have been pleased. For half a year, Persephone was in the underworld, and Demeter, who was upstairs, who was upset that her daughter Persephone was down in the underworld, Demeter was devastated and let the world go cold and lifeless. As for Hades and Persephone's marriage though, Persephone was the queen of the underworld by then, the co-ruler to the underworld, not captive. And unlike most relationships in Greek mythology, Hades and Persephone have a loving, committed, respectful, and equal relationship. The fact that Persephone is his niece does make things more uncomfortable, but that's Greek mythology for you. And Greek gods do not abide by traditional notions of morality. And a deal was made that half a year, every year, Persephone gets to live in the living world in the first half of the year, and in the underworld the second half. The pomegranate seed she ate from the underworld cemented the deal. When Persephone returns to the living world, Demeter brings warmth and life to the world again. And when Persephone returns to the underworld, Demeter takes it all away. Despite that, Persephone is in good hands, as Hades is a powerful figure who commands the dead and controls the wealth beneath the earth. In modern media, Hades and Persephone are depicted in Lore Olympus. Hades is also depicted in God of War, Hades Town, Disney's Hercules, the Goddess of Spring Disney short, Percy Jackson, and the video game series Hades. He doesn't want power. He's a lonely figure whose job it is to keep the dead from walking back. If you want to hear about more underworld gods and love myths, follow for more, and comment what mythical entities you want me to share next. Persephone is not just the goddess of spring, she's the queen of the underworld. She exists between 2 realms, the living world above and the underworld below. Half her life is spent in light, the other in shadow. Persephone is often depicted as beautiful, youthful, and floral, but also dark, regal, and commanding when shown as the queen of the underworld, having a crown of flowers or iron depending on the realm. As the daughter of Demeter, goddess of agriculture, her life changed when Hades abducted her to the underworld, an act allowed, though not openly approved by Zeus. Persephone governs cycles, life, death, rebirth, and seasonal change. Her movement between the worlds explains why the world blooms, and why it withers. Though her story begins with loss of agency, she does not remain powerless. She becomes queen of the underworld, a co-ruler, not a captive. Unlike most Olympian marriages, hers and Hades is depicted as loyal, stable, and respectful. When Persephone ate the 6 pomegranate seeds of the underworld, she bound herself to it. The act cements her dual existence, not fully mortal, nor fully free. Persephone controls fertility, vegetation, seasonal death, and rebirth. In the underworld, she commands spirits and shares authority over the dead. She appears in Lore Olympus, the musical Hadestown, Walt Disney's The Goddess of Spring, Percy Jackson, the Hades video game series, as well as the animated web series God School, along with Hades. Persephone isn't a girl who was stolen by darkness. She is a queen who learned how to rule it. If you want to learn about more spring deities, follow for more, and comment what mythical creatures or gods or goddesses you want me to share next. Power doesn't always look like strength. Sometimes it looks like a spider. Introducing Anansi, the trickster spider deity from Africa. Anansi comes from West African folklore, specifically the Akan people of Ghana. His stories have traveled across the Caribbean, South America, and the Americas through the African diaspora. He's usually depicted as a spider, a man with spider traits, sometimes half human, half spider, looking like the Jorogumo. But generally, he doesn't look intimidating, and that's the point. He wasn't born powerful. He became powerful by being clever. In many myths, Anansi stole all the stories of the world from the sky god Nyame, proving that wit could outplay brute force. That's why stories, wisdom, and even humor are associated with him. He didn't rule with strength, he ruled with brains. As a god of stories, wisdom, trickery, and survival, his purpose isn't to be good or evil. It's to expose hypocrisy, to flip power structures and prove that intelligence can beat authority. His biggest weakness, though, is himself, with his greed, pride, and overconfidence. Many of his stories end with him winning and then paying for it. Anansi's stories have survived slavery because they taught resistance without direct rebellion, used humor to survive oppression, and preserved African identity when history was being erased. That's why Anansi shows up in Caribbean folklore, African-American storytelling, and modern literature and pop culture. He's referenced in Neil Gaiman's American Gods, a character by Kwaku Anansi in Marvel Comics, and even children's literature like Anansi the Spider. Before power was loud, Anansi whispered, and the world listened. If you want to hear about more spider and trickster deities, follow for more, and comment what mythical creatures or beings you want me to share next. You've heard of fairies such as sprites or pixies, but have you ever heard of the Aziza? They originate from West African folklore, especially among the Fon people of Benin. Stories of the Aziza also appear in regions such as Togo and Nigeria. The Aziza live deep in forests, far from human settlements. The Aziza appear as very small humanoid beings, appearing as small as fingers and hands. Many stories say they have butterfly or butterfly-like or insect-like wings, often having a soft glow that gives them away in the darkness. The Aziza are spirits of the forest, existing to guard knowledge and maintain balance between humans and nature. The Aziza teach humans who show respect, passing down survival techniques, herbal medicine, and spiritual knowledge. They avoid arrogance and cruelty, and if you disrespect them and the forest, they disappear. Or potentially worse may happen. The Aziza are severely lacking in mainstream media. African mythology does not get a lot of love, and the Aziza certainly deserve more love. They are portrayed in the Aziza Chronicles, written by Trevon Malik Roach Carter, Desta and the Aziza by Quentin Allen, Aziza and the Aten by Danielle Larragee, and children's literature such as Aziza's Secret Fairy Door, written by Lola Morayo. The Aziza reminds us that knowledge is a gift, and nature only shares it with those who listen. If you want to learn about more fairy-type creatures, follow for more, and comment what mythical creatures or beings you want me to share next. Before Europeans reached Appalachia, native tribes spoke of a people that could only come out at night, the Moon-Eyed People. The legends come from the Appalachian Mountains, especially areas that are now Tennessee, North Carolina, and Georgia. Most accounts are tied to Cherokee oral traditions, passed down long before written history. The Moon-Eyed People were described as very short in stature, having a very pale or white complexion. and with large light-sensitive eyes, said to be almost blind during the day, only moving safety under moonlight. According to Cherokee stories, these beings lived in Appalachians before the Cherokees even arrived. They supposedly built stone structures and walls, some of which still exist today. When new people began settling the land, the Moon-Eyed people couldn't adapt, eventually disappearing, vanishing into caves and forests, or entirely from history. They weren't described as monsters, they were their own people, living, building, surviving, until the world around them changed. Some legends say they avoided conflict entirely, choosing escape over war. They didn't have magic, though they did have exceptional night vision, deep knowledge of the land, and advanced stonework for their time. Their greatest ability may have been how completely they vanished without a trace. They don't appear much in mainstream media, which only adds to their mystery. Occasionally, they're discussed in cryptid discussions, horror podcasts, and books like this one, The Moon-Eyed People, Folk Tales from Welsh America, written by Peter Stevenson. Whether they were myth, memory, or a forgotten people, the Moon-Eyed People remind us that not everything from the past wants to be found. If you want to hear about more night races and cryptids, follow for more, and comment what mythical creatures or beings you want me to share next. Odin didn't want comfort, he wanted knowledge, even if it cost him everything. Odin is a god of war, wisdom, poetry, and death, coming from Norse mythology worshipped across Scandinavia, which is now known as modern Finland, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, and Iceland, and is known throughout all 9 realms of Norse mythology, especially Asgard. Odin is usually depicted as an older bearded man. He is one-eyed and wears a wide-brimmed hat or hood, and he carries a spear called a Gungnir, often accompanied by 2 ravens, Hugin and Munin, meaning thought and memory, as well as 2 wolves named Jerry and Freki. Odin is one of the first gods, a descendant of the giants. He helped shape the world from the body of the primordial being Ymir. Odin was never satisfied with power alone. To gain wisdom, he sacrificed his eye at Mimir's well, and later hung himself from the world tree Yggdrasil, pierced by his own spear for 9 days and nights to learn the secrets of runes and magic. As the Norse god of war, wisdom, poetry, death, and magic, he doesn't prepare for glory, he prepares for Ragnarok, the destined end of the world. Everything he does is about knowing what's coming and still standing to face it. Odin is a master of rune magic and shapeshifting, as well as prophecy and foresight. And he commands Einherjar, the fallen warriors chosen to fight at Ragnarok. Unlike gods from some other mythologies, Norse gods can actually be killed. Odin knows his fate and he cannot change it. He is destined to be swallowed whole and killed by Fenrir at Ragnarok. In mainstream media, he's depicted in the Poetic Edda, the God of War series, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Final Fantasy, and even Neil Gaiman's Norse mythology. Odin didn't fear death, he feared ignorance, and he paid the price to escape it. If you want more Norse gods and entities, follow for more, and comment what mythical creatures or beings you want me to share next. Deep in the swamps of the American South, there's something that hunts you not with teeth or claws, but by wearing your skin. This is the Boo Hag. The Boo Hag comes from Gullah Geechee folklore, rooted in the coastal low country regions of South Carolina, Georgia, and nearby islands. Think swamps, marshes, humid air, Spanish moss, places where it already feels like you're being watched. A Boo Hag has no skin of its own. Its true form is described as emaciated, pale, and raw, reddish or bluish, almost fleshy and inhuman. To survive, it steals human skin and wears it like a suit. When disguised, it looks perfectly normal, until you notice something's off. Having glassy or lifeless eyes, exhibiting strange behavior, and having no reflection or shadow in some accounts. At night, it removes the skin and hangs it up to dry. Unlike witches or vampires, the Boo Hag isn't about curses or immortality, it's about parasitism. In Gullah Geechee stories, the Boo Hag feeds on a person's life force, not their flesh, their life force. It moves into a community, blends in, and slowly drains away their life until they've hollowed out. Victims don't die violently, they waste away, exhausted, depressed, sick, and disconnected, until they eventually die. The Boo Hag survives by inhabiting human lives, wanting warmth, comfort, energy, and access. This makes it especially terrifying because it doesn't target strangers. It targets families, partners, and close relationships, thriving on trust and proximity. It's less a monster under your bed, and more a monster already in your house. They are capable of perfect mimicry as the humans they are disguising as, and they can live among humans for long periods of time undetected. To put a stop to the boohag, salt is its biggest weakness. Sprinkling salt on a boohag, or its stolen skin, can expose or repel it. Other traditional defenses include iron, protective charms, and general community awareness. Once exposed, it's vulnerable. The boohag is not mainstream, though it is in The Boohag, an in-depth look behind the legend by Portia Garrett, Precious and the Boohag by Patricia C. McKissick and Onawumi Jean Moss, and When the Reckoning Comes by LaTanya McQueen. The boohag doesn't need to chase you, it just waits until you invite it in. If you want to learn about more fleshy mythical creatures and entities, follow for more, and comment what mythical creatures or beings you want me to share next. They're not gods, but they're still powerful divine forces. These are the Orishas. The Orishas originate from Yoruba spirituality in West Africa, primarily in modern-day Nigeria, Benin, and Togo. Through the transatlantic slave trade, Orisha belief systems spread across the Caribbean and the Americas, forming religions like Santeria, Kambodal, and Lukumi. Orishas don't have a fixed form, though they are often depicted as human-like, and every Orisha represents and reflects their domain. There are many Orishas, but there are only 7 prominent Orishas, dubbed the 7 African Powers. Elegua, aka Eshu, is the Orisha of the crossroads. Ogun is the Orisha of iron, war, hunting, and technology. Yamaya is the Orisha of the ocean, motherhood, and fertility. Yamaya is the Orisha of rivers, beauty, and power. Shango is the Orisha of lightning, thunder, fire, and justice. Oya is the Orisha of wind and tornadoes, as well as thunderstorms. And Obatala is the Orisha of creation, wisdom, peace, and purity. And according to lore, it is he who molded the first humans. Their colors, clothes, and symbols matter more than physical traits. In Yoruba belief, the one true god is Olodumare. He created the Orishas as divine intermediaries, powerful spirits who shape reality and guide humanity. They exist to teach balance, consequence, and survival. They don't just bless, they challenge. And they're not moral absolutes. They reward respect and punish arrogance. In modern media, they're portrayed in A Storm Approaches, Oya, Rise of the Super Orishas, Orishas Among Mortals by Antoine Bandele, and Skin of the Sea by Natasha Bowen. They're not fairy tales. They're a reminder that life is choice, power, and consequence. If you want to learn about more minor deities, follow for more, and comment what mythological beings or entities you want me to share next. Happy Valentine's Day, Spectres. Today we're talking about Eros, the god of love. Eros is either older than the gods, or one of the spoiled sons of one of them. It depends on who you ask. Eros comes from Greek mythology, originating in city-states like Athens and Sparta, where mythology evolved over centuries. His identity shifts depending on which era of Greek belief you're looking at. Early depictions show Eros as a primordial, powerful, winged young man, not cute or soft. Later art transforms him into a cherubic child with a bow, arrows, and wings, the image which most people recognize today. 2 completely different vibes, a cosmic force and a Valentine mascot. Now here's where it gets complicated. In one of the earliest sources, Hesiod's Theogony, Eros is a primordial deity, born at the beginning of existence alongside chaos. In this version, he represents the force that brings living things together, the drive that creates life itself. Later myths, however, say he is the son of Aphrodite, the Olympian goddess of love, and fathered by Ares. In this version, he is no longer ancient cosmic energy, he's a mischievous love god. So which is true? Both. Greek mythology isn't one fixed canon, it's inconsistent, it evolved, and gods change roles over time. At his core, Eros represents desire. Not just romance, desire, attraction. The pull towards something you want. In the primordial version, he is a force that allows the universe to reproduce. In the later version, he meddles in relationships. Sometimes for fun, sometimes recklessly. He possesses a bow and wields arrows that cause overwhelming love. He has influence over gods and mortals alike, capable of emotional manipulation, and in older interpretations has cosmic generative power. Even Zeus wasn't immune. He is not weak, though he is impulsive, emotional, and easily offended. In the myth of Psyche, he is wounded by one of his own arrows, and the god of love himself falls madly in love with the mortal woman Psyche, showing that even desire can turn inward and destabilize itself. Love is powerful, but it's unstable. In modern media, he's portrayed in many fantasy and romance novels, such as Psyche and Eros, a novel by Luna McNamara. He's also depicted in Marvel and video games like the Hades series. Eros isn't just love, he's the reason you even want at all. If you want to learn about more love deities, follow for more, and comment what mythical creatures or beings you want me to share next. This isn't the fire-breathing monster from medieval Europe. This dragon brings luck, power, and prosperity. This is the Chinese dragon, the Long. The Chinese dragon originates in ancient Chinese mythology and folklore, central to traditions in China, and celebrated globally during Lunar New Year. Unlike Western dragons, the Chinese dragon has a long serpent-like body, with 4 legs and claws, deer antlers, fish scales, whiskers, and no wings, yet still flies, said to be a combination of multiple animals, representing unity and balance. The Chinese dragon has existed in Chinese culture for over 4,000 years. Early emperors were believed to be descendants of the dragons, becoming a symbol of imperial authority, strength and protection, and heavenly power. In Chinese cosmology, dragons control water, rain, rivers, and storms, essential for agriculture and survival. The Chinese dragon represents good fortune, abundance, protection, and power used wisely. During Lunar New Year, dragon dances are performed to ward off evil spirits and bring prosperity for the coming year. Not only do they have control over weather and rainfall, they are wise beyond humans. In pop culture, they're depicted by Mushu from Mulan, Sisu from Raya and the Last Dragon, and they're also depicted in video games like League of Legends and World of Warcraft. Not all dragons hoard gold. Some actively bring prosperity. If you want to hear about more mythological dragons, follow for more, and comment what mythical creatures or beings you want me to share next. If you see a child-sized creature bowing at you near a river, bow carefully. It might save your life. 'Cause that creature might be a kappa. The kappa comes from Japanese folklore, living in rural regions of Japan. The kappa are most commonly associated with water, especially rivers, lakes, and ponds. The kappa are described as about the size of a child, having green or blue skin, a turtle shell on their back, webbed hands and feet, a beak-like mouth, and most importantly, a bowl-shaped indentation on the top of their head filled with water. The water is the source of their power, and if it spills, they weaken. The kappa were likely used as cautionary folklore to warn children about the dangers of drowning. Over time, though, they became more complex. Sometimes they're tricksters, sometimes they're violent, sometimes they're oddly honorable. In older stories, they drown people in the water, drown livestock, and attack swimmers. Some legends say they steal a mythical organ called the shirikodama from their victims. You can decide how detailed you want to get from there. The kappa represent the unpredictability of water, danger lurking beneath the calm surfaces, and the idea that nature is playful but not harmless. However, they also seem to respect manners, and this is where it gets interesting. If a kappa bows to you, you must bow back, because when it bows to you in return, the water spills from its head, weakening it. You can then escape, and politeness becomes a survivability tactic. Do be careful, because they are master swimmers who drag people underwater. Some even say they have knowledge over medicine. They are not mindless killers, they think. If the water spills from their head, they lose their strength, become immobilized, and may even beg for help. Some stories say they become loyal to you if you refill their head bowl, so they can go from predator to ally. In modern media, the kappa is depicted in the 2010 film Death Kappa, video games like Animal Crossing with Kapp'n, Yokai Watch, Jijiji no Kitaro, and Summer Days with Ku. The kappa isn't just a monster in the rivers, it's a reminder that even manners can be weaponized. If you want to learn about more imp creatures, follow for more, and comment what mythical creatures or beings you want me to share next. She can make you rich, she can make you mad, and if you disrespect her, she can take everything. Introducing Mami Wata, the Afro-Caribbean and African Atlantic water deity. Mami Wata is venerated across West, Central, and parts of Southern Africa, especially in countries like Nigeria, Ghana, and Benin. Mami Wata is often depicted as a stunning woman with long flowing hair, often partially or fully nude, adorned in gold jewelry, and frequently shown holding or entwined with a large serpent. Sometimes she appears as a mermaid, sometimes fully human, sometimes something in between. However she looks, beauty is a part of her power. Her name translates loosely and obviously to Mother Water. She's a powerful water spirit associated with rivers, oceans, wealth, fertility, healing, and spiritual initiation. In some traditions, she appears to people in dreams, calling them to serve her. In others, she lures individuals into the water, and when they return, they come back changed. Mami Wata represents the mysteries of the water, wealth and material success, seduction and temptation, spiritual power, and the tension between desire and discipline. Water gives life, water can also drown. Mami Wata embodies both. Not only she has control over water, she can grant wealth and fortune, has power over healing, as well as spiritual possession. Devotion to her requires commitment. In many traditions, followers must obey strict rules, or risk losing her favor. Disrespecting water is disrespecting her. Unfortunately, she is not mainstream, as she's often simplified into a black mermaid. She's still much appreciated, however, in contemporary African art, as well as film like the 2023 Sundance Film Festival winner, Mami Wata. Mami Wata doesn't chase you, she waits. And if you answer the call, your life will never be the same. If you want to learn about more mer people and water deities, follow for more, and comment what mythical creatures or beings you want me to share next. If a beautiful woman asks you to walk her home at night, it might be best to check her feet first. She might be La Diablesse. La Diablesse appears in French Caribbean folklore, especially in islands like Haiti, Trinidad and Tobago, and Martinique. She's described as a stunningly beautiful woman, wearing a long, elegant gown, a wide-brimmed hat that hides her face, and she's perfumed, graceful, and refined. But beneath the dress, one of her feet is a cow hoof, and she hides it carefully under her dress. Her name literally means the she-devil. In many versions, she's a spirit of a woman who made a pact with the devil, sometimes out of desperation, sometimes vanity, sometimes desire. Others portray her as a warning figure, born from colonial anxieties about sexuality and morality. She walks lonely roads at night and she waits, targeting men who wander at night, especially unfaithful or prideful ones. She flatters them, leads them, guides them deep into the forest, and once the men are lost, she disappears, leaving the men disoriented or dead. La Diablesse emerged in societies shaped by slavery, colonial control, and strict religious morality, reflecting tensions around race, gender, and power. She's not just a monster, she's a symbol. In modern media, La Diablesse is depicted in The Jumbies by Tracy Baptiste, referenced in a play called Dream On Monkey Mountain, and she's also a character in the dungeon crawler Carl series. She even has a 2020 short film, La Diablesse. La Diablesse doesn't force you into the dark, she simply walks ahead of you, and waits for you to follow. If you want to hear about more she-devils, follow for more, and comment what mythical creatures or beings you want me to share next. If you see a firefly hovering near your window at night, it might not be a firefly, it might be the Adze. The Adze comes from Yu folklore, stemming from parts of modern-day Ghana and Togo. The Adze is a shape-shifting vampire entity that can transform into a firefly. Its firefly form is said to have an elephant-like appendage to suck blood. Its humanoid vampire form is even more hideous, with jet black skin, a hunched back, sharp fangs, teeth, and claws, and glowing red eyes. In its firefly form, it can slip through cracks, walls, and windows, giving it the opportunity to consume people's blood and life force. The Adze is often described as a spirit or witch that feeds on life force, feeding on the vitality of blood, energy, and spiritual essence. In some traditions, it possesses people, causing illness, misfortune, infertility, and mental distress. The Adze is subtle, persistent, and parasitic, and its most common victims are children. With the Yadze's powers of shapeshifting, being able to enter locked homes, possession, draining life force, and causing long-term misfortune, it doesn't need brute strength. It survives on infiltration. If the Yadze is captured in its firefly form, it can be forced into its human form. Once exposed, it loses its power. The Yadze existed in communal belief systems where illness and misfortune needed explanation, reflecting anxieties about health and spiritual vulnerability. The Yadze is not mainstream in modern media, though it does appear in Sir Boding's Guide to Vampire Hunting, written by Roseanne A. Brown. Some monsters knock on your door. The Yadze does not. It waits for the light to go out. If you want to hear about more fly monsters and witch spirits, follow for more, and comment what mythical creatures or beings you want me to share next. If you hear chains dragging behind you in Jamaica, don't look back and don't run. It might be the rolling calf. The rolling calf comes specifically from Jamaican folklore. It's one of the island's most feared duppy forms, more monster than ghost. The rolling calf is usually described as a massive black bull or calf, possessing glowing red eyes, having long sharp horns, heavy chains wrapping around its body, dragging behind it and clanking loudly on the ground at night. Sparks sometimes fly when they scrape the ground. You hear it before you see it. The rolling calf is said to be the spirit of a wicked person, often a corrupt landowner, greedy plantation owner, or someone who exploited others in life. After death, they are condemned to roam the earth in monstrous form. The chains represent the sins they committed, the weight of their greed, and the bondage they impose on others. Its punishment turned into legend, representing justice after death, consequences for greed, and the haunting legacy of colonial oppression. Unlike other mythical creatures, this one is tied to moral accountability. Some say it hunts, others say it wanders in torment. Either way, if you hear chains behind you in the dark, don't wait to find out. The rolling calf possesses supernatural strength. It can trample and gore victims with its horns, and it can use its poisonous breath to harm and kill. To fend off the calf, throwing sand or needles behind you compels the spirit to count the sand and needles, giving you time to escape while it's distracted. Turning your clothes inside out can disorient it. You may also use a tarred whip, stick a knife in the ground, or walk in the moonlight, which will scare it away. But the key is composure. Panic feeds fear. The rolling calf appeared in a society shaped by slavery, brutal plantation systems, and land exploitation. It transforms the oppressor into the hunted. The powerful become cursed. And although it's not mainstream, it still has some works like The Rolling Calf Duppy by H.G. Gilroy. The rolling calf isn't just a monster in the dark. It's a reminder that some chains don't break, even after death. If you want to learn about more calf and bull monsters, follow for more, and comment what mythical creatures or beings you want me to share next. Ever wondered what a hybrid of an elephant and snake looked like? Well, before dragons, before serpents, and before elephants ruled the land, there was the Grootslang. The Grootslang comes from South African folklore, particularly associated with the Richtersveld region, and the cave system known as the Wonder Hole. Its name literally translates to Great Snake in Afrikaans. The Grootslang is often described as part elephant and part snake, having a massive serpentine body, an elephant head and other features, sometimes tusks and scales, sometimes it has legs. It's ancient, it's huge, it's heavy, and it's older than memory. One legend says when the world was young, the gods made a terrible mistake. They created the Grootslang first, and yet it was too powerful, too large, too intelligent, and too strong. So the gods split it into two separate animals, an elephant and a snake. But one Grootslang survived and retreated underground, and that surviving one is the creature of legend. It's said to live deep within the caves of the Wonder Hole, which is rumored to possess vast treasures, diamonds, and precious stones. The Grootslang guards them, bargaining with humans. But it's not trustworthy. It is not just a mindless beast. It's intelligent, cunning, capable of speech, and willing to negotiate. Some say it demands exchange, others say it devours without hesitation, able to entrap and crush its enemies with its large tail. In modern fiction, the Grootslang is depicted in Dungeons & Dragons, as well as the Secret Saturdays cartoon. The Grootslang was never meant to exist. It was a mistake the gods tried to undo. But some mistakes go underground. If you want to learn about more great snake and elephant creatures, follow for more. And comment what mythical creatures or beings you want me to share next. In the forests of Ghana, something with iron teeth waits above you, and that thing is the Asambasam. The Asambasam comes from Akan folklore, particularly among the Ashanti people of Ghana in West Africa, said to dwell deep within dense ancient forests. The Asambasam has iron teeth, hooked or iron hooks for feet, sometimes described as humanoid. It lurks high in treetops, and it drops down on unsuspecting travelers. The Asambasam does not have a sympathetic backstory. It's simply a dangerous forest entity. In many stories, it serves as a warning against wandering too far in the wilderness, especially alone. The Asambasam is vampiric in nature. It attacks travelers in the forest, using its hooks to latch onto victims, and its iron teeth to drink blood. It doesn't seduce or bargain, it hunts. The Asambasam possesses supernatural strength, predatory stealth, having the ability to perch high into trees undetected, capable of ambush-style attacks, and iron teeth capable of piercing flesh easily. There's no widely documented weakness in Akan folklore, making it all the more unsettling. It usually isn't defeated, it's avoided. The Asambasam has appeared in Pathfinder, it also appears in folklore collections, and is referenced in modern fantasy and horror discussions. So if you ever walk through an ancient forest, don't just watch the path ahead. Listen to the trees above you. If you want to learn about more wild, more foreign vampiric beings, follow for more. And comment what mythical creatures or beings you want me to share next.